and I'm the External Affairs Coordinator with Landmarks, which is your public art program. How many people have heard of Landmarks before? That's what we figured. We have a big job to do in terms of external communications, and that's partly why I'm here. One of our major projects this year that we're very excited about is a James Turrell Sky Space that's going to be installed, or it's actually being installed currently on top of the Student Activity Center. You all have probably noticed that the Activity Center roof deck has been closed all this year, and I think part of last year as well, and it's because of this installation. So I want to back up a minute and just tell you a little bit about our program, and then we can move on and talk about the Sky Space specifically. And I saw this nice gentleman here with a map. We've got maps of all of our installations across campus in the back if anyone's interested in looking at that. So this program began in 2008 with a long-term loan from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And we were very fortunate to have a relationship with them because they started, they really helped us launch our program from an art historical standpoint. There are 28 sculptures all across campus now that are the Mets that are on loan to us. You've probably seen many of them as you're just walking around going to class or in buildings. We have got all of these detailed on the map. We also have sculptures that are part of a program called Art in Public Places. There are many cities and municipalities and universities that are part of this program, and the University of Texas now is too. So what that means is basically when a building goes up, a percentage of the capital expenditures that go towards that building, a certain percentage will go towards art as well. For the city of Austin, it's about 3%, and for the university, it's between 1 to 2%. So this is a good example of that. For the engineering school, this sculpture that's called Clock Knot by Mark Vesuvero. We also have, I don't know if you all have seen this or not, at the School of Communications. This is a really interesting video projection by Ben Rubin, which is in the Walter Cronkite Plaza, and you kind of have to be there to see it, but the building's scroll ticker tape of newscasts from the Cronkite era and newscasts from the current day era. So there are a lot of really interesting things that we do. We actually have a project that's going to launch in March by an artist named Saul LeWitt. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he is one of the founders of the conceptualist movement in art. And as part of the new computer science complex, we're going to have one of his sculptures kind of in the courtyard area, and another one of his wall drawings inside. And all of this can be found on our mobile apps. Whether you have iPhone or Android, you're able to access the list of our artists, and we've got audio tours that will give you more information about the works of art, and an interactive map as well. Okay, now I have to switch to a different presentation, and while I'm doing that, hang on. So, now I'm going to talk to you some about James Turrell. I don't know if you all have heard his name before, but in the art world, he is one of the biggest players in the contemporary art world right now. He has works all over the world, in Japan, in Europe, in Russia, all over the United States, where some artists use paint as their medium, or sculpture, clay as their medium. He uses light. And his works explore the psychological interaction of humanity with light, which sounds pretty elaborate. But the reason why we selected him to be a part of the Student Activity Center is because when the building was designed, students had a large say in what went into the building, and one of the things that they wanted was a meditation space. So we selected James Turrell to do a sky space on top of the building, and I'll tell you about what that is in a minute. One of his lifelong works, his lifelong work is called the Rodin Crater. And it is a crater that he actually built or he bought in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is huge. You can see it from the satellite up in outer space. And he's turned it into a sky space. So this is the entrance to the crater. And you descend down these stairs, and you can see around the circumference there's a bench. And what you do in these sky spaces is you sit on the bench and you look up at the ceiling where there's an oculus cut out, and you look at the sky. And I know that sounds like really simple, and who would want to do that? But apparently, when you're at this crater in Arizona, you can actually sense the earth moving. And it's supposed to be a really incredible experience. So I can't guarantee you're going to feel that at our sky space. It's not that often that you look at the sky without any kind of obstruction or interference from anything else. So these are some examples of other sky spaces around the country. This one I think is in Minneapolis. This one is in Flagstaff. This one is in, this one's in Minneapolis. The other one is in Great Britain. So that's a little bit about James Turrell. And now let me show you some of okay, I'm going to have to just find it in here. Okay, here we go. So, so this is, of course, a map, which has got the Student Activity Center there. These are all of our other works of art, but the Turrell is in red. I wonder if I can just go like this. Yes, I can. Okay. This is a rendering of the sky deck, and you can see the door coming out on the upper right of the slide. That's the door coming out onto the sky deck for the Student Activity Center. And the sky spaces, of course, they're in the middle. This is a rendering that was drawn before we started work on the project. This is what the oculus will look like. These are not in order, so sorry. This is just another really great rendering, which reminds me to tell you that some of the most beautiful times to be in these sky spaces are at dawn and at dusk when the light's changing. That's a daytime photo of that. An aerial view of where the sky space is, under construction. Another beautiful shot. So you can see how we will have a bench that's tilted backwards slightly so that you can look up and see the sky and think about whatever you want to think about. And that's it. This has nothing to do with it. So that's it for now. Does anybody have any questions? I'll just turn this off. No?
I have a question.
Sure.
When you're planning these art installations, do you work with libraries to acquire books and other visual resources that relate to the artist or the pieces?
Well, yes, we do. Like, for instance, with the Ben Rubin piece, a lot of Walter Cronkite's manuscripts are in the communications library. Is that your question? So, yes, we do.
Sort of. Like with Turrell, for instance, Turrell books are really like really big piece of his, kind of like his. There's a lot of scholarship being built up around Turrell. So there are opportunities, I think, especially with contemporary artists, to not just bring the art in, but to bring other resources to campus that would support appreciation of the art and kind of build prestige for the collection.
That's a really good question, and I don't know that that's being done per se. I would imagine, we're part of the College of Fine Arts, and I would imagine it would come through there. But I can find out for you. If anybody wants to friend us on Facebook, or yeah, that would actually be a great way to get more information about what's going on. And I'll have some business cards in the back if you want to get in touch with me. We do actually work with the colleges and the departments where we're putting art. For instance, we've got the Solowit pieces at the Computer Science Center. And one of the aspects of his work is he worked in a very modular kind of style, which is similar to the way code is built. So there's a lot of, and the architectural aspects behind it are similar. So there's thought that goes into matching the artist and the artwork with the academic discipline. No, we really would like for you guys to give us feedback if you have any about the Turrell Sky Space when it comes online, and we want to start to develop a better dialogue with the students about what we do and try to get you all involved and interested. So, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jennifer. Andrew and I actually got to tour the Sky Space with Orrin Wells and Michael Redding, and it was a really a beautiful thing, and it will obviously be open until the fall, so those of you who will still be here, take advantage of it because it's a great reflection space and it'll be really nice. We'll now move on to organizational announcements, and Troop with the Election Supervisory Board. Welcome back.
Yeah, so I'm here today as the chair of the ESP. I just want to let everyone know that we have our election coming up very soon in February. So I would just love if you can go back to your council and tell your members about the election so they can go and file if they want to run, or you can send out emails to any organization that you are affiliated with so you can get lots of people filed to run this election. So the election will be at the very end of February, the 27th and the 28th. So that will be on a Wednesday and Thursday, and hopefully we will have a runoff this year and get it out the way by the end of February. So once again, this morning when the newsletter came out, we had a little information about the election in the email as well, so if you can just send that out to everyone within your council. Questions?
Troop, which elections are these?
Oh, good question. So there are 5 different entities that are participating. So we have student government, graduate student assembly, Texas student media, the university unions, and the co-op. So those are the 5 that will be participating. Unfortunately, the Senate is not on the
I'm going to say fortunately on that.
So if you have any questions, there's my email on the agenda. So yes, please send it out to your council. Thank you.
Thank you, Troop. We'll now move on to regular guests. Is there anyone here from student government? Seeing none, we'll now move on to Graduate Student Assembly and their president, Michael Redding.
Hi everyone, good to see everybody. I just realized that it's been 2 months since the Senate meeting. I do apologize for missing the last one of last semester, but I was in the frozen tundra of Detroit, so I do apologize for that. We're working on a few things. Last night we actually passed an election code, which I also need to send to Troop, so she has it. That reminded me. And we're working on some constitutional amendments as well. We also introduced a resolution last night about sort of dissertation policy changes. For those of y'all that don't know, every department gets to set what their own dissertation policy is, which is actually against what the graduate catalog says. So this is one of those deals where it's never been a problem, except it's always been a problem. And so, and it's really kind of coming to a head. So this is one of the things that we're working on. We're working with the graduate school and the provost's office trying to clear this up. And basically what we're looking to do is give the most flexibility to departments to decide on their own what they think a valid dissertation is, but also to then tell everybody what that is. So that way you don't have 2 people doing the exact same project, and then one of them counts as a dissertation and the other's like, no, that doesn't work. So it's mostly sort of a good governance type model there. Another thing that we're working on is working on with the graduate assembly actually about sort of open access and issues regarding that with dissertations when they get published. Every dissertation and every master's report and every thesis is actually published, archived in the Texas Digital Library. So if you are curious, you can go look at every dissertation that's ever been published by a graduate student in the University of Texas. And that's actually created some issues, and so we're kind of working through those and looking at setting some policies on that. That's basically all I've got. I know Michael's going to talk about Invest in Texas, but I would also encourage everybody to get involved in that. And just as a preface, I know you're going to talk about fall break a little bit later, but just so you know, Graduate Facility also passed a resolution endorsing fall break. So that's what I have. If anybody's got any questions? Yeah. Basically embargoes. So if if your dissertation is basically coming up with something that could be, patentable or something like that, and it's public, and somebody steals your idea, people just are looking to get embargoes, but we don't actually have a standard embargo policy. There was one the other day that we wound up talking about where it's like the Department of Art History, somebody published a dissertation and they wanted a lifetime embargo because they were afraid that UT Austin researchers would be banned from the country of Italy. So because of the dissertation topic. So what do you even do in that situation? And there's just not a policy there, and so it's kind of whoever feels like it. So, any other questions? Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Okay, we have no unfinished business, so we'll now move on to new business and SR 1216, in support of extending the projects for underserved communities program to all majors. Will the authors of the legislation please step forward?
Good evening, my name is Matthew Rindelab and I'm an at-large with the Committee on Academic Enrichment, and I'll be taking you through the first page of the legislation. So the first whereas clause basically talks about what projects for underserved communities this is an opportunity to do, and that is combine study abroad with academic service learning. So for our committee, that's two of the things that we really want to focus on. Academic service learning gives students an opportunity to learn while performing community service, and study abroad, I think, is a pretty well-known concept. So what Projects for Underserved Communities does is it basically is currently housed in the School of Engineering while also allowing a few students from the College of Social Work to participate as well. And the current program is based in Ghana, where they work together to design, implement, and plan a project for building a well every year, and that takes a fall, spring, and summer. And then as you look further, you can see that in just its first year of implementation, the program already won an international award from Arizona State University, so we've clearly got something good going.
And I'm Varun Bhatnagar. I'm also an at-large on the Academic Enrichment Committee. And to go to the second page to look at what comparison schools are doing. As you can see, several other comparison schools have offered their students opportunities to become involved in service learning, primarily on a local level. So we have the University of Wisconsin at Madison having a campus community partners program, and the University of Virginia's community engagement courses. However, we really want to take this global and really become get at the forefront of service learning. As you can see, one of our comparison schools, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, has already started a program called Apples, which is a global service learning program, and we hope to emulate their success.
I'm Judy. I'm one of the co-chairs for the Academic Enrichment Committee. And moving right along to the resolve statements, starting on line 36, the Senate College Councils, along with the Academic Enrichment Committee, endorsed a PUC program to be housed and branched in the School of Education, but it'll be open to all students of all majors and colleges. And this branch will be designed by the students and guided by the faculty advisor. And an important part in line 46 is that the students are in charge of fundraising to cover all costs associated with the transportation, going over there, building a well, materials, all of that. And that's how it is right now in the engineering school. And that's basically it.
Okay, we'll now move on to a 2-minute period of question and answer.
So just to confirm what you talked about, the clause in line 46 and 47 about covering the cost of the project, are there any other costs that establishing a new branch would incur to the university, or are all of them going to be covered by fundraising?
So anything that the program specifically entails, whether it's airline, flights, You wouldn't have to get project, or you wouldn't have to get supplies for actually building a well, because in-house in education don't have to deal with that. But as opposed to any sort of university costs, the only thing would be paying for a facilitator, whatever their salary would be, just to encompass that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just had a question about the skills of the programs. It seems like we're doing in the past has been international. Would this also look at doing things kind of within the community, off-clinical, setting out pharmacy, all that stuff, and East Austin in terms of health outreach?
A great question. This program specifically is fully focused, fully dealing with international. And they actually get the program, the students in the program are the people that get to decide where are we going to go for this project? What are we going to do for this project? What community are we going to pick? And I had a meeting actually last year with Dr. Janet Elzy. She's the Vice Provost of the International Office. She's actually the lady that founded the engineering PUC program. And she was explaining that the students have basic autonomy of what they want to do, what kind of program, but the key is to keep it sustainable. What we do not want this program to be is for some students in education to go over, teach for 2 weeks in the summer, and come back, and that be all that they did for the entire year. Our idea would be to teach the students, or to teach the people who, whatever country they go to be able to teach the next generations. So kind of creating a sustainable project. So it's very globally focused.
So we talked about the service learning aspect of this, but what about the study abroad part of it? What kind of classes and studies do you have classes in education school? What kind of classes do you have?
Great question. It's actually technically not a study abroad program in an official capacity. It's a implementation abroad. They don't actually take courses while in their other country. Like for instance, the engineering students are there for the month to build the well. So it is a fall and a spring semester of 2 hours each that they get credit for.
So is this going to be a joint program with the engineering PUC, or we travel there with them and like work on education for the projects they build?
Great question. Also, no, it's originally designed to have its own, wherever the students' discretion, wherever they want to go. If they decide that they fully support if the engineering students want to support the education, they can decide at that point to work together. But on the onset, it's not together. I hope I didn't miss this, but is this housed in a current school right now? College of Education, excuse me, College of Engineering. Okay, yeah, thank you. And something that we have included in the legislation is a petition that the College of Education signed. They're going to release it. And I went and talked with them last semester, and actually the semester before that, so last spring, explaining the program. And they loved the idea. They saw a huge potential growth sector for education students, and they supported it. Another key part of this legislation that we really want to emphasize is that it's open to all majors. So I'm both in the business school and the College of Liberal Arts. I would be able to participate in this program if I signed up for it and got in the class, but I would have to follow the framework that the education school provides.
There's a large risk with traveling internationally to underserved countries. Who bears that risk, the university or the students individually?
It would be the students individually. Not all of the students that sign up for the program get to go. It is whatever the need and whoever can find ways to get over there. So they would have to individually accept whatever responsibility.
So the university's not liable?
Not liable.
So for official study abroad programs, the university offers a subsidized health insurance, so just to not qualify.
That is a question I'm not personally sure. I can follow up on that.
The university requires you to buy international insurance and life insurance and all that stuff. You can try out abroad programs. And you assume all risks that they require. You have to get approval to go to certain underdeveloped areas. Somebody went last summer to the West Bank. But so I mean, you can still get there. The university still approves it. It's a lot of people.
Did you talk to, like you said it's open to all majors, did you talk to anybody from majors outside of education to see if there is interest in it outside of education?
Not particularly, we didn't do it in any other council. We wanted to make sure that education was very clear, but we wanted to give the opportunity to, I selfishly wanted to be able to participate in the program if I could. And so just give the option. It's not necessarily focused that everyone outside of education needs to participate, but just so that other colleges don't feel left out. Yes. Yes, it wouldn't be a class that would be closed only to education major students. It would be one that any student can apply for.
I guess my question is, currently the focus of the class is more engineering, and it will also add to the education part, rather than making it more.
Right, okay, so.
And for example, the pharmacy industry is they serve a lot of underrepresented communities, so they might be interested in extending their expertise. And will there be a way that this expertise can be added in so that that's why I'm asking different colleges?
I understand your question. So, yes and no, and that's not the perfect answer, but it would be the basic framework of education students going and setting up a program for teaching whatever subject matter they want to, and whichever students apply for the program and are part of the class, it's put their input, right? This is an aspect that we want to focus on teaching. You know, they can each add their individual flavors of their expertise that they had previously known, but it's going to be the same kind of structure. It's not going to be a business student coming in and going to say, all right, we are only teaching business classes, or we are only, you know what I'm saying? It has the basic framework, but the opportunity to diversify. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
A lot of value from study abroad comes from working with people from other countries and other universities. Are there any plans to utilize UT's large network of international universities that are partners in study abroad programs with this to work on a project together with someone from another university outside of UT or outside of the United States?
So my current understanding of the PhD program in engineering is that they do not work with any sort of official capacity with another university. But again, it's up to the discretion of the group and the facilitator. If the community that they want to go to has a university that we have contact with, they'd be a wonderful point person. But a lot of times the areas that they go to, you know, generally as a UT study abroad program send it there because it is so underdeveloped.
So this is going to be a full year program?
It would be. It's, like I said, 2-hour class in the fall, 2-hour in the spring, and you have the option of doing either 2 or 4 week implementation in the summer.
So are there going to be like advisors outside of engineering or education for like students outside of those majors that this is a plan? Because I guess if it's housed in education or housed in engineering.
What would it count for?
No, I mean like, it's not like, for example, I'm a business student. If I wanted to do this, I wouldn't want to meet with like an education or engineering advisor to plan this to fit it into my curriculum.
I understand what you're saying. I need to talk with the college educator at the College of Engineering right now because I don't know how they implement with the social work students. But because it would be open to new majors and that's not the current state of what they do in the old program, I am not personally sure. It is something that we'll talk with Dr. Janet Elsie about.
It's my understanding that it's not something that normally counts towards your degree plan. It's something you take as like an extracurricular, and the class is just to prepare you for fundraising and for the design of the group. So it's not something that you necessarily get to count for that degree plan.
It would be more for the study abroad experience, service study experience than the postgraduate itself.
On the winter break, a group of architecture students traveled to Honduras to build the medical center. Have you looked into Global Brigades or any organization and to see what they do and how it relates to the program?
Yes, so back in the day, this was actually an initiative that I had as an outreach a year ago, and I did a lot of research for the different types of non-university sanctioned programs and university sanctioned programs that send students, like the architecture trip. And the reason why I was drawn to the PhD program is that it was officially the UT and with course credit, and they do not link to any other organization. They are their own entity, and it's again up to the discretion of those students if they want to. We can certainly encourage it, but it hasn't been practiced before.
We've gone through the allotted thing since the revolution. Yeah, this is right Wednesday. Question answer.
none, take us back to council. Let's go to the Okay, we'll now move on to agency reports. Are there any agency reports? Seeing none, we'll move right along to council announcements. Are there any council announcements? Andrew.
Hi guys, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrew. I'm the Liberal Arts Council. If you haven't noticed, there's a brand new building right across walking our view. It's the new College of Liberal Arts building. We're really proud of it. I encourage and invite all of you to go tour it. I don't speak engineering language, but apparently there's a lot of engineering feats that they accomplished with it.
Like it's standing?
But it's really cool. If you go to the fourth floor of the SAC, you can cross across the skywalk and go down. There's beautiful views facing the tower toward the east, or facing the stadium toward the east. So I invite you all to come through and look at it. Even if you're not a liberal arts student, you may have a class there one day. So.
Are there any other council announcements? Okay, seeing none, we'll now move on to executive reports. As I promised in the President's Committee meeting, we would devote a portion of my executive report for fall break feedback and any information that you gathered from your council, any thoughts, questions, concerns. Again, I apologize I was not able to meet once again with the faculty member who brought forth the proposal, was in charge of the calendars committee. She was in DC all this week on conference. So right now we'll open the floor up. This will be kind of an informal discussion regarding this before Andrew and I vote on it, and the rest of the faculty council vote on it on Monday. So if you have any thoughts, feedback, concerns, feel free to share them at this time.
Is anything changing the original proposal for the 2 days?
No. Not since it's original proposal.
My council, there is probably incorporate Thanksgiving better than time.
Nahal, do you want to address that because we had this conversation as well?
Yes, the reason, I'm up, okay. The reason this came up as one of the first proposals that faculty liked, but the thing is it's still a 2-day break, which means that Monday is still a school day, and I was in that room with professors that we've all heard about, but maybe not all of us have had, that always put a quiz, a test, or a participation grid that really determines the difference between an A or a B. They were in that room. And they hate those days, and they don't like when students don't come. So by making that Monday, that straggly day, like you have the weekend and Monday and Thanksgiving, and all the rest of the week is off, you run that tendency of a lot of student angst. But they liked that first, but then as they thought about it and they talked to their TAs, so I was in a room with about 10 faculty members or so. They talked to their TAs, a lot of them were also engineering and natural sciences were represented in the room. It was one professor from each. But the break in the middle is kind of what they came to because it made more sense because we run a marathon from the start of school to Thanksgiving. And then the reason they also considered that one more heavily than the other one is because you'll take that break for Thanksgiving, but then you'll come back. You'll have maybe a week of instruction, and then you have 10 days finals, and you're gone. So it didn't make sense when the purpose of the legislation that was written by SG to pass this proposal was for the sake of giving students a break. If any of you guys may have read that, that's what the purpose was. So when they look back at that, they reevaluated their stances from that point. The other thing is if faculty council decides to break up our days, which also isn't really student favored, and give themselves that Wednesday off. And I say give themselves that day off because it's definitely just a faculty move to give themselves that Wednesday off before because they just want more holiday time. Then you're breaking your days apart. They may or may not pass a proposal to take another day off randomly somewhere, but you're not getting that fall break, that well-deserved siesta from school. So, done.
answer your question? Allie?
I mean, it's been brought up, I think, with all the faculty, especially within natural sciences and engineering, the fact that it has lab schedules has anything been compromised?
Yes. Lab schedules. It was a semester I was in these meetings. The woman who spearheaded the group, Diane Bailey, she spent so much time and research and looking into all of these points, and one of them was the lab schedule. And she looked into a lot of other institutions, from the range of Ivy to the other private Ivies like ourselves, Duke, North Carolina, and the whole range. Many schools don't have 12 weeks of lab instruction. So when I say 12 weeks of lab instruction, there are 12 open weeks for your professors to give you a lab. Potentially that's 12 labs, but the more and more research I've been doing on this, they're not giving you 12 labs. They're giving you, they have off weeks, some of them, each professor's different, I understand that too. So you have to realize it's your professors, how many labs that they want to give you. The other weeks have, Harvard has like a record, 8, 9, some low, ridiculously number of labs. Other people have 10 or 11. They're cutting 1 week. Professors don't like this so much in engineering because that first week, the syllabus week, which is usually just 3 days, is that week. And then we cut it out for fall break at some point. But really evaluate like your lab situation and your class. Like I'm a business student, so I haven't taken a lab, nor do I ever want to. So impart your knowledge on this. What your lab situation is like, what professors like to do. Some of them start 2 weeks late, do some of them end 3 weeks early. Think about what's going on. The thing is, I'm gonna. Yes, this may be a personal opinion, but people don't like change because then they have to change things that have been the way that they've always been. We can go to 11 weeks, and they just have to sacrifice one lab. You're still going to be a great, stellar engineering student.
Allie, by the way, the answer to your question was no, compromise has not been reached.
For 1 whole year, and my experience was, like you mentioned, not every week was a lab. There were weeks cut off to the beginning, all the labs ended 2 weeks prior to the end of the semester, and also they happened every alternate week. So they were not, we didn't have labs every week. So I think there might be ways they should be able to kind of squeeze it in, because sometimes the issue is they might use the same students for another class, so they are alternating the weeks, so that might be an issue. But I have a strong feeling that they can change it if they want to.
We as students believe that this could be done, but maybe others don't.
So they have usually in the engineering lab 5 to 6 labs per semester. Generally, I'll or engineering management. But yeah, like the lab I thought, I think that was the case.
I think Michael's going to touch on a way for you all to go ahead and bring your sentiments to the table.
Yeah, just so we don't run out of film on the camera in the back. I do kind of want to rein it all in. This is the last time we're going to do one of these for executive updates, but I'm sorry. If there was any issues specifically from your council that we can address, or comments that would help guide us in the vote, or that we can echo to the faculty council, I would appreciate that being shared now. I will tell you, every argument that's been made so far has been made. So we're going to have a fun time on Monday. But is there any feedback in general from your individual councils? Yeah, Columbia.
So yeah, our council, graduate engineering council is and we do strongly believe being a bunch of teachers as well as grad students. So it's possible moving this thing around and the students get. We can promise work harder on those yesterday's
Any, yeah, UC.
What time is practice meeting on Monday?
It is at 215 and Main 212. It is open to everybody. Just so you know, if you want to provide commentary, you have to be recognized by a voting member or a member of faculty council before you're able to do that. Usually they're pretty lenient on that. But everyone is welcome to Main 212, 215. You're welcome.
All of it should go.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to Invest in Texas. If you have not already signed up to get involved in Invest in Texas, please do so. We will have a flagship day on the 12th of February. That's the first legislative day that we'll have. But the one where we really need a lot of participation will be on March 26th. That is a Tuesday. All students are welcome to come out. We'll be meeting with all of the legislative offices. So if you have not signed up or if you haven't passed it on to your council, please do so. Yeah, use it.
All these legislative days are UC's absence.
Yeah, the one that everybody will be, the one that we're asking for participants in, the UT Austin Day, yeah, that's excused absence. If you have a test, I would strongly encourage you to talk to your professor beforehand, whether or not to be able to change it. Again, I'm not going to advocate for you to skip a test and then come with a note saying I have an excused absence, because that doesn't control the value of saying too bad. Thanks for asking for higher funding though. Any comments on that? Okay. Orange and Maroon Day, again, that's coming up on the 5th. We do not run that. We get a little bit of a break from not doing that, but that's put on by the Alumni Associations for UT and then also A&M. If you haven't signed up for that, please do so. It's a great way. It's fun. Andrew did it last time. I will try to be there. I have a UGS Dean Search meeting that entire day, so if not, Andrew's going to be heading up the efforts from our end. But please sign up for that. It's a great way to not only connect with our friends to the northeast of here, but also to show why higher education, particularly at Tier 1 research institutions, is so important. Honor Code. So while you're at the faculty council meeting on Monday, come for the honor code, or come for the fall break, stay for the honor code. We're done. Basically, it will be presented, as I've talked about in President's Committee, it's done, the framework is done. It is just basically bringing it before the faculty council to get feedback. It has already been endorsed by both the staff council executive committee and the faculty council executive committee. The president and the provost have endorsed it, so we're ready to go on this. Tomorrow, Peter, Paul, and I will meet with some individuals regarding the visibility of the honor code and branding it, and then myself, Andrew, and Peter, Paul will be meeting with University Communications in the next coming weeks to discuss the broader implementation plan for it. School of Undergraduate Studies Dean Search will be meeting on the 5th to review applications. From that applicant pool, we will set a number of interviews, airport interviews, so we'll bring some people in, an interview, and then from there we'll select finalists. We have a very good applicant pool, both from internal and external candidates, so we'll have a tough job ahead of us. But that process is going very smoothly, and we're excited for having a new dean very shortly. I'll touch on two things before elections. So Monday is going to be a fun day for a couple of reasons. Not only do we have that faculty council meeting, but we also have a Senate Finance Committee hearing, which guess what? It's at the same time. So we'll be trying to man 2 stations at once. President Powers is scheduled to testify before the committee at around 2 o'clock. That could vary depending on how quickly or how slowly the committee is moving. But after that, in the public testimony, myself, Michael, and someone from SG will be testifying as students. That portion will probably come around 4 o'clock, which means we'll be trying to coordinate our presence at faculty council and then our presence there to testify. So we'll be working that out. But historically, we try to have, or last session, we did a walk to the committee hearing room. Unfortunately, we're not able to do that because of just the way the schedule is set up. We were very fortunate last session that UT Austin had was the first person or first university up to testify. This is not the case this year, so we're going to have to adjust to that. In addition to that, today myself, Andrew, Thor, Wills, and Michael were in a large meeting with President Powers to discuss what will be introduced on Tuesday, which is a report from the Committee on Business Productivity. This committee was formed in March of last year to look at ways in which the university could do a better job of handling its business operations and saving some costs. Not too much of it will directly affect students or will be concerned about within the Senate, but it is something that I hope everyone pays attention to. There will be a report and delivery of the address by President Powers on Tuesday at 10 a.m. in the ACES auditorium. That is right down the street on Speedway. That is open to the public, so if you're wanting to come, stop by and you'll be able to hear all the recommendations. Again, the recommendations, it does not mean that they'll all be implemented, but it also does not mean that they're just going to brush it aside and say, forget it. But it will focus on three main areas, from administrative services, asset utilization, to technology commercialization. And then finally, elections. So next week will be, if Josh, Kendra, Andrew, and I jump off the liberal arts building before then, we will finish the election code, and then we'll have to fast track it that day. Again, we do not expect hardly any changes, if any, regarding the structure of it. It's more just clarifying language, taking out a couple of First Amendment right violations, and making sure that the process runs a little bit smoother. But elections, we will have nominations for the 3 elected positions on February 7th, and then on the 21st of February, we will have elections. So please, if any candidates reach out to you, please meet with them to talk about their ideas, their plans, how they can help the councils, how they can help your individual council, and just have a great election cycle, which we always do. Those are all of my updates, as long as they were. Kendra.
If you're in the student board inside your council, you have friends that are in the student board, tell them about round one appropriations. It's due Sunday, 5 p.m. Yep.
Right.
Okay, I'll follow suit as well. I'll make it quick too. The first council ad hoc meeting of this semester will be this Sunday at 8 p.m. In the Senate SG conference room. An email will go out to the members, but I'll send it out over the general list too, in case you do have members or you yourselves will be interested in stepping on board. You're more than welcome to get involved at this point. And again, we'll be analyzing the Senate survey results for any analysis, is kind of what I like to say right now, and then recommendations will be produced in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So, especially for Senate reps, just watch out for that. I know you've heard me talk about that a couple times. Second point on there, council newsletter that's coming out next week, January 31st. I'll send out another reminder this weekend. President, please submit your data. Thank you. And the last thing is Senate T. That's our open policy forum in the Senate. We're structuring it similar to the speaker series semester, so we're looking to host at least 3. First will be a transfer student forum, and I'll be working along with the recruitment and retention committee. And the tentative date for right now is Tuesday, February 26th. So we'll have to be held during that meet, and you'll hear more announcements about this as we approach that date. But definitely encourage any members of your council who experience either external or internal transfer to attend or possibly get involved. But we'll have more information about that. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions about those items, just let me know. And thanks again.
Okay, Mark? No, Mark? Any other executive updates? Okay. We'll now move on to committee reports and faculty affairs.
Hi guys, it's been a while. My name is Chanel, I'm the faculty affairs co-chair. And just to let y'all know, our January press of the month application will be sent out tonight or tomorrow to the Fine Arts Council, the Association for Nurses in Graduate School, and the Undergraduate Geological Society. And that will be due Tuesday, February 5th by midnight.